It has been well documented on this channel that Game UK is going downhill fast. Not that long ago I made a video about them axing physical games in their stores, which sounds ridiculous, and there is no concrete evidence of this, although it was suggested from a leak that we were going to see that. Game came out and denied it, and I'm aware of that, and of course that was mentioned a lot in that previous video, despite people in the comments saying Game have denied it. I know they denied it, I said it in the video. But there are a few things that make you wonder. Not that long ago, Game announced they were going to stop pre-orders. They also announced they were going to stop wallet functionality on the 21st of August. You can't accumulate points from your purchases, of course you can't trade things in, they ditched that a while ago. All of this was to simplify the till system for the Sports Direct staff. The majority of Game stores are now tucked away inside these bigger establishments, and they're all owned by the Fraser Group. Rather than have a separate till system to that of Sports Direct, they wanted to simplify it so that all the staff could use all the tills and it was just a one in, one out kind of system. You can return things, you can buy things, and that's pretty much about it. They don't have to have the whole back catalogue of Xbox One and PS4 games for people who want to trade them in. They got rid of it ages ago. The one line of text that I find very interesting though is, any existing pre-orders or deposits for a product set to be launched before the end of January 2025 will still be honoured. There's no change to online pre-orders. You can pre-order a game online and have it delivered to your house. And I'm kind of half sure that you can also pre-order something and pick it up in store. And that was always what was rumoured to be happening with Game. They were going to get rid of physical media within their stores. You were going to be able to pre-order games online, pick them up like a click and collect kind of service, kind of like what Argos are, I guess. So if you've been into Game and you've pre-ordered anything, I think up until August the 1st this applies, they will honour it so long as the release is before the 31st of January 2025, which sounds ages away, but it's not. It's about 6 months or so away. So if you've pre-ordered anything that's set to be released next year, more or less anyway, they will refund you. This isn't really new news necessarily. They did announce this on the 11th of July. I missed it, but here I am reading it, and it does confuse me slightly, because Game coming out and denying that they were going to get rid of physical games altogether is kind of now a little bit weird, because they're going to stop pre-orders. So how can you cancel pre-orders, which were huge for Game, by the way? When I worked for GameStation, as Game took over, pre-orders were massive. You were always forced into trying to get someone to pre-order something. That's how we make our money. You need to get them to pre-order something. It was £5 a pre-order for the longest time, and it was a huge incentive to have to get someone to pre-order a game or a console. I think it was £20 deposit if you wanted to pre-order a console. But if Game are going to keep physical media, how are they going to do that without pre-orders? That is a huge part of their business, to know how many games they need to order in so they're not ordering too many. And a game that are trying to scrimp and save like Game are at the moment, they don't want to be ordering too many, they don't want to order too few either. So I think they are going to get rid of physical media. And I did say this in the video, despite the fact that they came out and said, no, we're going to keep it, don't panic. So what these stores are going to become are just board game plush lighting emporiums loosely based around gaming, and you can of course then pre-order like a click and collect system from their website to the store, because all you have to do is show proof of your pre-order, and then the staff member can just give you a copy and you can go about your day, and the staff don't have to worry about putting it through the till or anything. And that was the whole point of this in the first place, to simplify the system so that the staff can run the Sports Direct side of things and the Game side of things. And it's very, very sad, and I would make a video about how Game can turn it around, but it's not Game's fault at this point. It's the Fraser Group who own them who are forcing all these changes to simplify it so that they can integrate it into one big shop. Now you might think that that's the end of the video, but what's very, very curious about this is over the water in Spain, things are a little bit different. There are Game stores in Spain, and I don't know how many there are exactly, but I know there's one in Malaga, for example. They are branded exactly the same purple colouring, the same Game font and logo and everything, and I've done some digging. They are in fact owned by the Fraser Group. But what's interesting here is they aren't being pigeonholed into sports shops. They are still independent stores. What's even more interesting on top of that, they still have trade-ins. You can still walk into a Spanish game store and trading a video game, get some credit or indeed cash, go around the store, look at all the pre-owned stock. You can pre-order a new game to come out at the back end of 2025. And on top of that, again, Spain, they go back as far as the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. In fact, you can go on the website right now and have a little flick through the prices. Granted, I wouldn't want to pay some of the prices they're charging for these games, but the option is there should you wish to do so. I would imagine you need to be a Spanish resident to have them delivered, although I haven't really checked that out, to be fair. As an example here, I have Mass Effect under Classics, which is crazy actually that they're even more in depth here than someone like CEX are, for example. Go on the CEX website, type Mass Effect in on the Xbox, what you're going to get? Just Mass Effect. You don't know what copy of that is going to turn up. Well, you know here, it's Mass Effect Classics. I don't know if you can actually search for Mass Effect non-classic, if you will, but at least they specify that it is Classics. So I'm going to click it, and I'm met with, you're going to get 30 points on your reward card, at least that's what I think puntos means, is basically points, right? It's going to cost me €4.95 in euros, and I'm guessing I can go and pick it up in store. I was told about this a little while ago by a game employee who gave me the heads up about pre-owned. He did say it would be interesting to hear you talk about the Spanish side of things because their stores are still accepting pre-owned. In fact, an awful lot of the Game UK stores shipped their pre-owned products overseas to Spain for their stores. So if you're wondering why your local game hasn't actually had any of the pre-owned stock that was half promised, I guess, they'd all be shipped off to certain game stores to be sold off, but I'm yet to see a single game store with any pre-owned being sold off. It's because they were probably shipped to Spain, because of course it's still under the PAL region. I'm guessing they make games with Spanish covers and back and artwork and stuff, but again, if you go to Spain, and I've done this many a time in the past, you go to a video game store and there will just be English covered games, because of course in most games you can change the language anyway. Something I found very interesting is if you click GTA 5, they want $14.99 for this, which is a lot. You do get 90 puntos, but it's $14.99. That's a lot to pay for a 360 game in general, let alone GTA 5, which is about £3 over here. The very interesting thing here though is that if you scroll down, it says why not add the strategy guide. This is going to cost you an extra 15, so it's going to cost you $29.98, but they even have a strategy guide option to go with a game that was released 11 years ago. Our game don't even have pre-owned games anymore, and the Spanish ones have strategy guides to go along with those pre-owned games. They even differentiate between the limited edition Far Cry 4 and a bog standard Far Cry 4. It's exactly the same price because I don't think there's that much difference between the two, but they have them listed as separate games. Our CEX stores don't even do that. They have a Wii section. They have a Wii U section. Now, I'm not saying that you should, because Call of Duty on the Wii there is $14.99. However, the option is there, whereas our game stores are talking about getting rid of physical media altogether. Consolas. The consoles are very well priced. You can buy a One X there for €110, which of course is going to equate to slightly less in pounds. But if you were to buy this in CEX, it would cost you 140, 150 quid, something of that nature. I went to Regenerate the other day, which is like a cash converter type store. They want about the same, £140. So the fact that they are charging 110 for one here is crazy. They're actually undercutting some of the stores, or most of the stores over here. It's not to say that they are very well priced for everything, mind you. Their Series X consoles are astronomical. Their Switches are roughly on par with what you can get on Amazon, but you can buy a Wii console for €30. You can also buy the Wii Mini for €30, which I'm pretty sure is more expensive over here. It's absolutely wild to me that the Fraser Group own this company, and it's like this in Spain, but it's not like that over here. Would it work if it was this diverse over here? I think so, to be honest. I think if they'd focused far more on pre-owned, I wouldn't say treated it like a CEX necessarily, but they could definitely take a leaf out of their book and they could focus more on pre-owned, just have the chart and the ability to pre-order new games, have a couple of bays of new games, sure, but if they just filled the rest of the store with pre-owned and offered competitive prices to CEX, maybe price match them or just undercut them ever so slightly. So if they ever wanted to make a comeback, they just need to focus on pre-owned. Don't worry about the tablets and the phones and things, just focus on the games, go back as far as you possibly can in terms of generations to the Mega Drive and Nintendo and such. But even if they went back as far as PS2 and the original Xbox, so long as they focused on pre-owned and had competitive trade and sale prices, I actually think that they would do fine. The video game industry is absolutely massive, as I talked about in a video not that long ago. They outsell movies and music almost combined. And yes, people are turning away from physical media, but there are those who still buy it. And every time you go into CEX, you won't be the only person in that store. There are others looking at things as well. And that just goes to show that there is a market for it. But unfortunately, unfortunately the Fraser Group will stunt any attempt of growth there. But the Spanish side of games seems to be doing very well, and I don't understand. Maybe it's a cultural difference, maybe it just works better in Spain than it does here. There are CEX stores in Spain, but maybe there are far less of them. If you have any insight into this, let me know in the comments. Do you think Game would have been okay had they just focused more on pre-owned, that just allowed you to sort of pre-order some new games that come in and have maybe one bay for new and just had the rest of the store pre-owned? Or do you think maybe it wouldn't have made a difference? I mean, personally, I think it would have, because CEX is still standing and they are credit to how impactful pre-owned can be, but I guess we'll never know. Thank you very much, Fraser Group, for ruining my childhood.